Okay, so first topic, first idea. The causal body is what? It has three powers: a projecting power, and what? A concealing power and a revealing power. This teaching is intended to awaken the revealing power in you, the sattva, and so that when your mind is sattvic, it can understand projection and denial. Projection and denial are happening all the time. Now, I've just outlined for you the steps, and just try to follow them. And I'll post the whole thing. You can either copy it from the chat yourself and finish the list, or just save the chat after you're done and then copy it and look at it. Or I'll also put it on the website one fine day, not sooner rather than later. Okay, what is the first statement? Ignorance manifests as denial. Ignorance is not denial, but it produces denial. What? And denial generates projections. Oh, I got a mistake here. I don't think I can edit in the chat thing. Maybe I can. Let me try. Yeah, look at that. Oh, no, that's on my thing. It's not in yours. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so you can ignore that second one. So ignorance manifests as denial. Denial generates projections. Projections cause action, which produce good and bad karma. See where the karma comes from? It comes from it comes from projecting your stuff, your mind stuff. You don't have to worry about the causal body, because your access to the causal body is the subtle body. And the subtle body is you're aware of. Nobody's aware of the causal body. Everybody's aware of the subtle body. And that's a valid means of knowledge for the causal body. Why? Because everything in the subtle body comes from the causal body. And Ishvara is not aware of it either, because Ishvara is the causal body. It just produces all of these phenomena. And what does the ignorance do? It hides, conceals, that's tamaguna, tamas. It hides what? Your awareness from yourself, your wholeness, your completeness. Not your awareness, I'm sorry. It hides the knowledge of your awareness. You have a knowledge that you're aware, and you have the knowledge that you exist. So it doesn't hide your existence. You know you exist, and you know you're aware. That's self-evident. But you don't know that what? You're immortal, that you're complete. And so ignorance, and that's what we have to teach you. And so you don't know that you're whole and complete. And projection is unconscious. It's happening all the time. You're constantly experiencing thoughts. And what do you think about those thoughts? You think they're real. But they're not real. Understand? You believe your thoughts. And the thoughts generate emotions. Instead, because you believe the thoughts, you believe the emotions too. Every emotion is generated by a thought. Every thought is generated by what? By a projection. And those projections are what? Dynamic. What does that mean? They're what? They're infused with momentum. What is that momentum? The result of all your past actions have what? Produced a tendency, an unmanifest tendency to what? To think a certain kind of thought and feel a certain kind of feeling and do a certain kind of action. So, vasana, kama, karma. Most of you know that, Those of you who don't, read up on it. It's in all the texts. It's in my Essence of Enlightenment, particularly, and in How to Attain Enlightenment and elsewhere. Okay, next. Copy. Paste. Here we go. Enter. Okay. Projections are, what are they? They're beliefs and opinions, not the truth. Normally, when you have when you believe something, that you think it's true. When you have an opinion about something, you think that's true. You believe what you believe. And Vedanta says those your beliefs and opinions are not truth. Not so what? So non-truth is adharmic. Why? It causes injury to yourself and others. Right? Why are you injuring yourself when you believe non-truth? Because you're not growing. And when you project your opinions on other people, what do? You irritate them. Because unless they have exactly the same opinions you do. But you don't know what another person's opinion is unless you climb into some echo chamber and just listen to a bunch of people saying the same thing back and forth to each other to reinforce their beliefs and opinions, i.e. their ignorance. So avoiding and avoiding dealing with your opinions and your beliefs, your pet opinions and beliefs, avoiding non-truth, i.e., is conscious denial. That means lying to yourself or others. You're actually consciously lying to yourself and others. Why? Because you don't want to face the fact that what? You're not as wonderful as you think you are, and you may be ignorant. Ignorant doesn't mean you aren't smart and you can't pass a test in physics or whatever it is, or write the great American novel or whatever it is. Ignorance means you're just ignoring the most essential thing about yourself, your wholeness and your completeness. That's all it means. And we call those people ignorant people. It's not a judgment because they can't help it. If you could help being ignorant and you continue to persist in your ignorance, then yeah, you're an idiot. But people aren't like that. We're all born ignorant, and by investigating and by a righteous life and inquiry and so forth, you can have that ignorance removed and remove it, or at least learn to figure out how to remove it, which is what we're telling you now, and then remove it yourself. I can't remove your ignorance, but I can show you how to do it, which is what I'm trying to do in these satsangs, and my whole life has been dedicated to that in the last 50 years. So avoiding non-truth is conscious denial, which means lying to yourself or others. Others deserve the truth as you. What? See, you're withholding something that what you deserve. You deserve to hear the truth, and so does everybody else. It's self-injury, as I pointed out. Why? Because it prevents growing into the light of self-knowledge. You see these people, and I know we have a number of them in our Sangha who've been around for many years, been listening to Vedanta for many years, and yet they still don't get it. Why? Because they're actually lying to themselves. They're cheating themselves by what? Indulging in these opinions, these beliefs. They're just not listening. They're not qualified. unfortunately. We love them, but what can we do? The teaching doesn't work on those people because they're actually what? They're more in love with their opinions and beliefs, which are injuring them. These are the garbage can people. Dump some garbage in me. And those garbage can people are very intelligent. They know how to irritate you, so you'll dump your garbage on them, and they love that. So they get in an argument and a fight with you. Why? So they can eat your garbage, because they feel like you care about them when you're fighting with them. And the best thing you can do with those people is what? Just not fight with them. Don't feed them. Because they're taking advantage of you. I told you about this gentleman last year when the COVID thing came up, who just, there were several of them, about 5 or 6, that I knew well and loved, and I still love them, but they wanted to argue. They did not like, they had the belief that that the evil cabal was going to, and the whole thing with all of those, that whole thing, which doesn't seem to be a big issue nowadays, was disturbing their minds. And they want, then that's a great idea that's a great hook to hang your projections and dig out those projections and stick them on somebody else. Which isn't good for them. They think it's good for you, but it's not good for you. And if they think it's good for them to do that, to save your poor sorry ass, but it's not good for them to save your sorry ass, because your sorry ass is okay. And even if it isn't, it's up to you to save your own self. It's not up to other people to save you. There's no saving. You're already saved. Understand? So, and this lying to yourself and others is what? Either consciously or unconsciously, it's self-injury because it prevents growth into life, self-knowledge. We said that. Truth is hard. And what is the truth? Okay, it's very simple. Truth is the hard and fast knowledge I am free. Acknowledge, I don't know what them is acknowledging them is more useful. What did I mean there? Like I was so wrapped up in what I'm saying now, I forgot the inspiration that Ishvara said down. Yeah. So acknowledge the truth is one thing, but what acknowledging the truth is something else. You have to you have to value that, acknowledge that and value it, and then what? And then proceed on, which is Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana. Now, the next topic is just, we're almost done. It just takes a few minutes here. And we can have some Q&A. Do you care what people think? Okay, now we're just getting more and more and more practical as we go. Okay? And what do I mean by that? I mean that, let me just paste this in. And here we go. Yeah, there we go. It appeared nicely. So we're getting better at this technology stuff. Okay. This is how you tell. If you care what people think, then what? Then you've got a problem. Now, you probably have some idea what why you shouldn't care. And there are reasons why you should, up to a point. But basically, you should trust yourself and the knowledge and the teacher and the teaching, because they won't steer you wrong. Understand? People always say they have your best interest in mind, and sometimes they do, but you can't count on it. People are unreliable because their opinions change and their relationships with you and others change. And so they'll say one thing at one time and another thing at another time, and they'll hedge their bets and so forth and so on. Whereas the scripture is just straightforward. It doesn't hedge its bets. It's not trying to make you feel good. It's just trying to help you to gain something that's most important to you. People, okay, so if you got this problem, if you care what people think, even a little bit, the reason I'm a successful teacher is because I don't honestly care. I don't care. If I cared one little bit, I wouldn't do this. Understand? And if I was insecure and had low self-esteem, when these people start, attacking me and saying things that aren't true, I'd get what? I'd feel hurt. I'd feel angry. I'd want to fight, so forth and so on. I don't feel that way. I don't care, honestly, what anybody thinks. And so people only care what you think and feel. Why? Not for your sake. Only insofar as it benefits them. Understand? Nobody does anything that altruistic. They all do it because of pleasing them. Altruistic stuff, all the altruistic stuff, all the good things they do because it pleases them to do it. They're not doing it ultimately for you, although you may benefit from what they do. So, projecting your feelings, let's see, where are we at here? Projecting your feelings, whether they correspond to reality or not, is usually injurious to yourself and others. Why? Why? Because of the way you do it or don't do it. Solicited, we've covered this topic many times. Solicited information is dharmic, assuming it is given in a kind way. So what? So if you want to tell somebody something, you need to what? Wait until they ask, and what? And you need to tell them in a kind way, with pleasing words in a careful way. You don't just blurt out what you feel. Unsolicited information is rarely appreciated and usually leads to conflict. Nobody likes conflict unless it makes them feel good. Tough love is only warranted if it is solicited and offered in a kind way. The mind projects, what does it do? It projects positive, negative, and neutral thoughts. Neutral thoughts are generated, okay, let's leave out the neutral thoughts. Why? Why do we want to leave out the neutral thoughts? What's generated them? Not sattva. The presence of the self, right, is reflected in the sattva. And therefore what? It appears as a neutral thought, as things you notice, but you don't focus on. Remember the noticing and focusing teaching? Understand? Neutral thoughts are generated by the presence of the self. Fantasies, positive and negative thoughts, because you have negative fantasies, fears, and positive fantasies, desires, are fears and desires which are only valuable when they correspond with Scripture. That's the lodestone. That's how you determine whether or not what you think and feel and say and do, right, is appropriate, is conducive to your liberation. Check the Scripture. The Scripture even stands above the teacher. Understand? Wanting freedom is the last point. Wanting freedom is not a fantasy at all. It's the nature of yourself. If you exist, you're free. That's it. And that's all you need to understand. That doesn't mean that's all you need to understand and, let's go have a beer. That means understanding that is all you need to what? Become immortal. It's not a fantasy. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, that all sounds very good and so forth and so on, and I don't think it's true, I can't sign on to that, then you're doing yourself a disservice. And usually those thoughts only come, no, they don't not only come, but usually they definitely do come when the teacher's enlightenment is based upon his or her own personal experience, and two, he or she does not have a valid impersonal means of knowledge, aka Vedanta. So, okay, so that's it for today. I'm happy